chapter 8, once for all act. If we give it other thought, these other thoughts cancel out the original. I like how Kenneth Weiss, in his expanded Greek translation of Romans chapter 12, translates the word present. Present your body as a living sacrifice. By a once for all act, once for all. Think about this for a moment. A once for all settled thought, then once for all make it known. From that point on, don't add or give it further thought, or you cancel the original thought out. Now understand that prior to coming to this once for all thought, once for all, you have time to reflect over that thought and have this tennis match go on in your mind from positive to negative belief, wanting to, not wanting to, until you come to this once for all act or thought, once for all, the decision that seals it, ending the tennis match of indecision in your mind. Paul the Apostle's statement, as translated by Weiss, place your seal of approval upon it, gives it the force of don't bring it up again to yourself or to others. It's called coming to believe. So we see 1, request, 2, believe, 3, expect. I've just showed you the process. What is your request? In light of this book, to learn to hear God's voice, can you come to believe and expect to receive it? That's the tennis match that goes on in your mind. This is okay. You should expect it. But know that you may not win the first match, but by practice, you win the next. Play to win. Chapter 9. The just can hear his voice. Matthew 5, verse 45. That you may be the children of your Father, which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. In other words, God is speaking to all of us, all the time. The just know this, whereas the unjust do not. Romans chapter 1, verse 17. For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as is written, the just shall live by faith. You see this developed in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. God, who in sundry times and divers or many manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son. So from one hearing to another hearing it was revealed. Then they wrote down what they heard. We thus can see that God spoke to many individuals in the past and in many ways, some even in very strange ways of symbols and so forth. Yet today, this very one who spoke to them now can speak through us to what God has promised over and over again of the promise of his word coming and living in us. Note how it is linked in a process, faith to faith, hearing to hearing, which is counted as righteous, as was when Abraham first heard God speak to him and said, this is true righteousness. When an individual hears God and listens to him. When God says you are justified through what his Son accomplished alone, apart from self-effort of keeping the rules, then you are. No matter how you may feel or think, God said it, you listen to what he said, and beyond your feelings and thoughts accept it, then this is counted as so. Did you ever notice that this was all done before the giving of the law of Moses? So righteousness, justification, is based in what God promised to Abraham and accomplished to his Son even before the foundations of this world. How plain or simple can it get? Yet many turn from this simple truth and seek a complicated religious system to gain God's favor. Read Romans chapter 4 in light of this, and you see it plainly expressed. Also in Romans 9, verse 8, they which are the children of the flesh, the unjust, these are not the children of God. But the children of the promise, the just, are counted for the seed, for this is the word of promise. The question is, can you hear this? Can you accept this? Or do you feel and think otherwise? Come now, let us reason together. Romans 8:30. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. Whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. Past completed acts with present results. This is the Greek grammar of this. It implies that it is already done before the foundation of the world. Think on this. This matter of justification is developed even more in another book I hope to share called Add Fire Spiritual Insights. There are so many other verses that could bring this out even more, but let's just start with the above mentioned verses of Scriptures. What is this thing of being just and justified? In its true definition, it implies that he or she that is just or justified is perceived by God as one who had never done anything wrong. Through what the Son of God accomplished for us, we are justified from what our father Adam introduced into this world. I've referred to it as the condition we all inherit through Adam's fallen nature. All born on this planet have this infection, an infection that has separated us from God. Although this infection affects us all, his rain falls on us all, good and evil, just and unjust, thus offering to all his mercy and grace. Whether an individual perceives it or not is another matter. They may attribute this rain to natural cause and effect, human efforts, but in truth it is coming from God. The powers and energies that keep us alive make up this idea of his reign. For in him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. He is before all things, and by him all things consist. Colossians 1:17. When humanity, knowingly or unknowingly, attribute this reign to natural cause or human causes, it robs God of that due to him, only him. This is what is meant by the unjust in the text above, whereas the just live by faith. What is this thing of faith? Don't the unjust use this word faith as much as the just? Many, when using this word faith, are implying trust. It can take this application, yet there is a deeper meaning that only the just experience. Romans 8 expresses this deeper idea, which is very descriptive of our access to faith, which reaches beyond just trust, becoming the condition of trust, which is a lively hearing and seeing of the God who allows his rain to fall on the just and the unjust. In other words, the just know the true source of the rain. In this case, this rain is not only seeing, but hearing from this God in a personified way, a one-on-one encounter with a living God. Those who make up the just hear his voice and live by this hearing. You see expressed by Paul the Apostle in Romans 10 in this way: faith comes by hearing. Note this, with this knowing that we have the right to hear from God is expressed as the verse continues, and the ability right to hear, hearing by the words of Christ. Remember, this Christ is in us, as Romans 10 clearly states, saying he is near us, in us, and can speak through us. We don't have to wait for the sweet by and by to hear him, nor do we have to try to dig him up and revive him from the dead to hear him speak. He's near you, even in your mouth. In other words, he speaks through you, and it comes out of your physical mouth in the form of words to others. Remember, don't let the devil's scarecrow keep you out of God's cornfield. Don't let this stop you personally from enjoying the thrill of hearing from the living God one-on-one. Will you make mistakes in this hearing from God? The answer is yes. Don't even allow this to stop you in your pursuit to hear from him. God can handle your mistakes better than others, and is the reason that his grace comes to us moment by moment. Remember, we do wrestle with flesh using the Spirit. The Spirit will always win, but you have got to at least begin learning to hear. Why would it be said that my sheep hear my voice if it were not possible? John chapter 10, verses 2 and 3.